Then it's just down to Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler, and they have a decent exchange. I thought some of the moves that they hit on each other was sloppy. Like there was a sunset flip that Ziggler hit on Sheamus that was kind of sloppy. But eventually, Ziggler tried to throw Sheamus over the top rope, but he landed on one foot on the floor. Then Sheamus tried to hit a springboard shoulder block, but Ziggler countered into a super kick and eliminated Sheamus. And we think that Dolph Ziggler's become the Intercontinental Champion, but then The Miz sneaks up from him from behind, eliminates Ziggler, and The Miz wins the match and wins the Intercontinental Championship. And yeah, The Miz wins the IC title. It made sense as The Miz had just returned. He needed to validate that return and validate his heel turn. And anytime The Miz usually holds a mid-card championship, he usually makes that championship very important. So I was happy that he won this title. Um, Now, as for the aftermath, um, obviously The Miz and Dolph Ziggler would go on to feud over this Intercontinental Championship. Dolph Ziggler would defeat The Miz at SummerSlam to win the championship, and Ziggler and Miz had their rematch the next night, and Miz won by countout, so Ziggler would have his title. Then The Miz beat Ziggler for it at Night of Champions, and Damian Sandow at the meantime was continuing to do his goofy gimmicks, but then they finally had one that worked. It was Damian Mizdow when he became The Miz's stunt double. And meanwhile, R-Truth was Al Ziggler. He was Dolph Ziggler's stunt double briefly. And then, yeah, after The Miz regained his IC title, then the night after Night of Champions, Ziggler would just regain the championship, which made it pointless. Um, and then Dolph Ziggler, but then The Miz and Damian Mizdow would go on to become have the great stick together. Um, Meanwhile, Dolph Ziggler, Cesaro, who was a Paul Heyman guy, dropped Paul, decided not to be a Paul Heyman client anymore. Cesaro went into to a feud with Sheamus for the United States Championship, and Sheamus retained the title against Cesaro at Night of Champions. And then Cesaro um, went into a feud with Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship. Dolph Ziggler defeated him in a 2 out of 3 falls match in Hell in a Cell 2014, and Dolph Ziggler then lost the Intercontinental Championship to Luke Harper. They had a pretty good feud together. They had that great ladder match at Tables, Ladders, Chairs, and Stairs 2014. Ziggler went on to become the sole survivor of Team Cena versus Team Authority. The Miz and Damian as for the Miz and Damian Mizdow, the Miz feuded with Sheamus at Hell in a Cell for the U.S. title, where Damian Mizdow started mimicking all the Miz's moves, and Sheamus won retained his U.S. title over him. And then the Miz and Damian Mizdow defeated Golden Stardust, Los Matadores, and the Usos to win the WWE Tag Team Championships. They feuded against the Usos for the titles, where the Usos beat them in December for the titles. And Damian Mizdow really started to get over. Um, and Yeah, the then Dolph Ziggler regained his IC title at Tables, Ladders, Chairs, and Stairs. And Bad News Barrett then returned shortly afterwards. He regained his Intercontinental Championship from Dolph Ziggler, held that title. Um, had a feud with Dean Ambrose over the championship at Fastlane, but Ambrose ended up getting himself disqualified. So then they had the WrestleMania ladder match, which Dolph Ziggler ended up being in, and that's when Daniel Bryan had won the Intercontinental Championship since he had returned from injury, and then Bad News Bear was supposed to face Daniel Bryan for it, but since Daniel Bryan got hurt, he had to vacate the Intercontinental Championship. Um, so then the title was put up on the line in a vacant in an elimination chamber match where you had Sheamus in there, who had been gone due to injury. He had lost his United States Championship to Rusev in November of 2014. Um, and he had recently come back as a heel, started feuding with Dolph Ziggler. They had matches at Extreme Rules and a Kiss Me Host match, and then at Payback, um, which Ziggler won the first one, Sheamus won the second one. You had Bad News Barrett back, who was back, and he ended up winning the King of the Ring in 2015, where he became King Barrett. Um, and who else was in this match of note? Ryback was in that match. Him and Curtis Axel were still a tag team for a while, but then Ryback got hurt in August of 2014. So the tag team disbanded, and Ryback came back doing the Feed Me More gimmick. Um, was a pretty crucial part in the Team Cena versus Team Authority build-up. They turned him back heel for one night for no reason, and then they had him be the first guy eliminated, which was really stupid. And then they had him have a lame feud with Corporate Kane in a chairs match, at tables, ladders, chairs, and stairs. And then they did the whole firing angle with Ryback, Eric Rowan, and Dolph Ziggler. And then Ryback went on to compete in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania 31, but not win. Had that feud with Bray Wyatt, but then he was in the IC title elimination chamber match. And so was R-Truth. R-Truth, meanwhile, defeated Bo Dallas and conquered his undefeated streak because because it was Bo Dallas was making a streak about how he was an 8 and Bo instead of using the O, he would use his name, and they had got into like a weird feud. It was pretty stupid, and then that never really culminated. And then R-Truth did his thing in the meantime, and then eventually he was in the IC title elimination chamber match as well. That went on to be won by Ryback. Ryback would defend the IC title against The Miz and The Big Show in a triple threat scenario where Ryback was injured through half of it, and then he retained his title against Big Show and The Miz in a triple threat match at SummerSlam. Then he lost the Intercontinental Championship at Night of Champions 2015. The Miz went on to feud with it. Before that was feuding with the stunt double Damien Mizdow. And they had 3 matches that The Miz won the feud, which was stupid. And The Miz and Cesaro got into like a mini feud, which was kind of dumb. Then what else? Cesaro ended up, like I said, not becoming a Paul Heyman guy anymore. They really started to bury Cesaro towards the end of the year in 2014. He was really jobbing out to everybody. And then Cesaro got into a tag team, and and him and his partner ended up defeating the Usos at Fastlane for the WWE Tag Team Championships. That kind of helped rekindle his career a little bit. They retained them at WrestleMania 31 against Los Matadores and Kofi Kingston and Big E and the Usos, and then they lost them to Kofi Kingston and Big E at Extreme Rules. Had their rematch, they lost, and then they had the first ever tag team elimination chamber match that Cesaro was in, Kofi and Big E and Xavier Woods were in. I'm going to get to what happens with them in a second. And then you had Los Matadores also in it because Diego and for some reason his partner wasn't in this match, but Los Matadores continue to do when they're thin on the main roster, not really anything special. And then Cesaro, when his partner got hurt, went on to have a singles run, had some great matches with John Cena for the United States Championship, and then was in a pretty big feud at SummerSlam, and then had some pretty mediocre matches, and then he went on to get injured at the end of the year. Zack Ryder, meanwhile, continued to be a jobber. He eventually went back down to NXT and got into a tag team that saved his career. Curtis Axel, after his tag team with Ryback fizzled out, went on to he was supposed to be in the Royal Rumble match in 2015, but then since he was attacked by Eric Rowan before the match, it wasn't to be. And he went on to do his Axelmania thing, and him and Damian Sandow formed the Mega Powers, which was a parody, of Hulk Hogan because of Axelmania and Macho Man Randy Savage, since Damian Sandow was doing Macho Mandow. Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods went on to all form the New Day, which originally started off really bad. They were just having dumb promo segments and stuff. And then eventually they started to, once they turned him heel, they started to do really well. They had that feud with Cesaro and his partner. They won the WWE Tag Team Championship. Then they lost it to Titus O'Neil and his partner. And then they regained him at SummerSlam that Sin Cara and his partner was in, as well as Los Matadores, Diego and his partner. And then the New Day went on to become the best act in WWE in 2015. They went on to become the longest reigning WWE tag teams of any kind in WWE history, and now they're doing the great things on SmackDown and having a great feud with the Usos over the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Alberto Del Rio, this was his last pay-per-view match for a while. He ended up getting released just before SummerSlam, and then obviously because of that scandal that happened where he slapped that guy backstage, and then he went on to work the Indies as Alberto El Patron, and then he came back with Zeb Coulter and did the whole Mex America thing at Hell in a Cell 2016, defeated John Cena for the United States Championship. That didn't really go anywhere. Alberto Del Rio, Bad News Barrett, Sheamus, and Rusev formed the League of Nations. Really didn't do anything. It was a lame group. Del Rio lost the U.S. title at the Royal Rumble. He had become a two-time U.S. champion since then. And then the League of Nations disbanded. Sheamus been on to become a tag team with Cesaro. They're the current Raw tag team champions right now, which is great. They're actually a pretty good team. They had like a great best of 7 series match, and then Sheamus and Cesaro their last fall ended in a draw. So then they threw them in a team, and it ended up working out really well. I already said what happened with Rusev. Bad News Barrett, pretty much, like I said, he was Ken Barrett. Then after the League of Nations, he was kicked out of the group, and then he was released shortly afterwards. Alberto Del Rio, pretty much the same thing. He was drafted over to SmackDown due to the draft. He was dating Paige at the time, and Del Rio was fired from WWE again. Well, he was suspended for steroids and then chose not to come back. And then now he's working the Indies again as Alberto El Patron. He's in GFW, Impact Wrestling, and he's the unified champion. Anybody else? Bo Dallas just sucks. The Great Khali really didn't do too much. He just kind of stayed in the company until he was released. Sin Cara went back down to NXT. Titus O'Neil doing the Titus brand stuff. I think Heath Slater and Bo Dallas formed a faction with Adam Rose and Curtis Axel, known as the Social Outcasts. And yeah, it just ended up being a jobber faction like 3MB was. And it disbanded because of the draft. And then Heath Slater became the first one half of the first SmackDown Tag Team Champions because he wasn't drafted, and that got him a job on SmackDown. Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas had like a short feud, but Curtis Axel in his hometown cuts the promo of his career, and then he loses in embarrassing fashion. That's stupid. And then Adam Rose, like I said, no longer in the company. So everybody. As for the people that benefited from this match, I would say the Big E, Kofi, and Xavier Woods benefited. Cesaro, not really short term, but long term. The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, because the Miz and Ziggler went on to rekindle their feud in 2016 doing the brand split, and it ended up being fantastic. And then obviously I'd say that's really short term Damian Sandow, long term not so much. So not a lot of people benefited, but the Battle Royal I thought was a good Battle Royal. I thought it had its moments. I like this exchange between Kofi Kingston and Cesaro, this exchange between Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler, how they booked the Miz in this match, the way they featured Cesaro, the surprise elimination with Heath Slater. I just thought this was a good, solid Battle Royal, so I liked it. It was good. Okay, so then we had the main event. It was a fatal four-way match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. WWE World Heavyweight Champion John Cena versus Randy Orton versus Kane versus Roman Reigns. Sorry. This was when Roman Reigns would still make his entrance to the crowd. I thought that was actually pretty cool. And the match starts off immediately. Cena starts fighting with Orton. Reigns starts fighting with Kane. Orton and Cena fight on the outside. Orton Irish whips Cena into the steel steps. And then Roman Reigns is punching away at Kane in the corner. And Randy Orton and Kane both double team Roman Reigns. They beat the crap out of him. Kane knocks Cena off the apron. And then Reigns is able to fight off Orton and Kane's attempt to do a double superplex. And he hits a flying clothesline on both guys off the middle turnbuckle. And he goes to cover one. I believe it was Orton, but Orton kicks out. And then he goes to hit a suplex on Kane. But then Randy Orton steps in and they hit a double suplex on Reigns. He covers him, and Orton covers Reigns, and Kane actually stands guard, making sure Cena's not going to come in like he's actually is going to help Randy Orton win this match. And what Roman Reigns is able to kick out, they still continue to pick apart Roman Reigns. And then eventually Cena comes back into the match. He hits a fisherman suplex on Orton, and he starts going off on Kane. But the numbers game is just too much for Cena, and they throw Reigns outside. Orton and Kane throw Reigns outside the ring. They throw him into the steel post, and they start dominating Cena for a while. Orton hits a neck breaker on Cena. Cena's still going to try to let Orton win. Kane hits a big boot on him, same thing. And then eventually, um, when Cena went for the AA, Kane made sure that Cena didn't hit it. And then Cena started to hit his Roman Reigns started to make his comeback. He threw Kane right into the steel post, and then Cena hit his 5 moves on Doom on Orton. Goes for the AA, but Orton holds on to the ropes, and then he knocks Cena off Orton off the apron, and then John Cena and Roman Reigns had their face off, which was kind of funny because everybody had known that Roman Reigns was going to be the next face of the WWE. He was going to take John Cena's spot, so it was kind of like a old face versus new face type of match. But Kane and Orton attack him from behind, and Kane hits a big boot on Cena while Orton is fighting with Reigns on the outside, and he covers Cena, and Cena kicks out, and Orton's like, "What are you doing? Why are you trying to win the match for yourself?" I was like, "They're like, you were on the outside," so they start yelling at each other. Kane attacks Orton. He goes for a superplex off the top turnbuckle, but then Cena and Reigns come in and hit a double power bomb on Kane, and they do like the Tower of Doom spot, and then it's going to be down to Cena versus Reigns in a one-on-one match, but Kane sits up, so then they both stop away at Kane, and then Randy Orton sneaks up behind and hits a backbreaker onto Roman Reigns, and then Cena hits Orton with the ST. When Orton starts to go at it, he goes for the AA. Orton counters it, and then he attacks Cena. He hits a double draping DDT on both Reigns and Cena. Covers Reigns. Reigns kicks out. Covers Cena. Cena kicks out, and then Kane and Orton start to go at it. Kane hits a big boot on Orton. Covers him. Orton kicks out, and then eventually. Roman Randy Orton went on the house on fire. He got Roman Reigns into a half Boston Crab, which looked really sick. And then Cena got him into the crossface at the same. And then Reigns reversed it into a half Boston Crab himself. Cena got Reigns into a crossface at the same time, but Kane broke up the submission. And then Cena got Orton into an went through Kane outside the ring, got Orton into an STF. Orton was able to try to get to the ropes, but Reigns eventually pulled Orton towards the ropes, and he threw him over the announce table. And then Reigns and Cena went at it for a while. I think at one point too, before that, Cena had hit an AA on Kane that Kane kicked out of. And then Reigns and Cena go at it for a little bit. Cena hits his 5 moves of Doom, goes for the 5 knuckle shuffle. Reigns counters. He hits a Samoan drop, and then the Superman punch on Cena, and he covers him. Cena kicks out. He hits the spear on Cena, covers him. Kane breaks up the pinfall, and then Roman Reigns starts going off on Kane. He hits the Samoan drop on him. He hits the Superman punch on him. He hits the apron drop kick on Cena, and then across the announcer's table on Orton, and then he does it to Kane. He spears Orton through the barricade, and then he hits a spear on Kane, covers him. Cena breaks it up, and Cena tries to take the credit. Reigns breaks it up, and then Cena hits the AA on Kane, and then the same thing happens, except it was vice versa. And then eventually Cena hit the AA on Reigns, covers him. Kane breaks it up, and then Kane hits a choke slam on Cena and Reigns, covers him. Reigns kicks out, and then eventually Randy Orton comes in the ring and starts going off on everybody. He hits a RKO on Reigns, covers him. Well, he hits an RKO on Reigns. Cena hits the because Reigns had hit a spear on Kane. Cena hits the AA on Orton onto Kane, covers Kane for the win, and he retains the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I thought this was a pretty pretty good main event here. It was exciting. You obviously knew that Cena was going to win, though, because it was too soon for Reigns to win, and no one really wanted Kane or Orton to win. No one really wanted Cena either, but there was more stuff to do with Cena than there was with Orton or Kane. And obviously, the aftermath of this came. John Cena would go on to face There was supposed to be a plan. Obviously, Plan B couldn't come into effect because Seth Rollins was dealing with Dean Ambrose. So Plan Paul Heyman brought up Plan C, and he brought up Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar ended up having that match with Cena where he destroyed him and um, took the WWE World Heavyweight Championship from Cena, and then they had their rematch at Night of Champions. And then Lesnar was a part-time champion. Cena still continued his feud with the Authority. He defeated Randy. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns and Randy Orton had a match at SummerSlam, and Roman Reigns won, kind of blowing off their feud. Then Roman Reigns went on to feud with Seth Rollins, but since he got hit, but then but since he got injured, they had to take him off TV for that. Uh, Randy Orton and John Cena had one final match together inside Hell in a Cell at Hell in a Cell 2014 that Cena won, and since he won, he became the number one contender to Brock Lesnar's WWE World Heavyweight Championship. They had the Team Cena versus Team Authority match at Survivor Series. Then Cena had that match with Rollins in the tables match at TLC. I've already talked about it. I mean, they had that triple threat match. Cena then went on to feud with Rusev for the U.S. title. I've already talked about that, though, in this video. And then Cena, when he won the U.S. title, really made it credible. He had open challenges every week for the title. Then eventually he lost the title to Seth Rollins. And then he regained it back, lost it to Del Rio at Hell in a Cell. And pretty much 2015 was pretty much the last time Cena really worked a full-time schedule in WWE. Because obviously in 2016 he got hurt. I would say maybe 2016 kind of was too. But 2000, I would say 15 was really his last full WWE calendar schedule. And then afterwards, in 2016, he's kind of starting to make himself a name for himself in Hollywood as an actor and stuff. So he's only there part time. But he had a great feud with AJ Styles and had great matches with him. And then, he would be there. They had matches at Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. And then eventually John Cena disappeared for a while, came back, and they had Cena and Styles continue their feud at the Royal Rumble of 2017. And Cena finally became a 16-time world champion, tying Ric Flair's record. Um, at the Royal Rumble. Then he lost the title in the Elimination Chamber match that I've already talked about. Then him and his fiance, now Nikki Bella, had the storyline with The Miz and Maurice that was pretty lame. And then Cena just recently came back on SmackDown this past Tuesday, and he's going to be feuding with Rusev going into this year's Battleground. It's pretty damn stupid. So that's kind of what's going on with Cena. Obviously, this match really wasn't going to benefit or hurt Cena. As for Kane, Kane continued doing his thing in the Authority. He became Corporate Kane once again, kind of did the same thing. He was the lackey for the Authority. And then eventually he was kicked out of the Authority. He became Demon Kane and feuded with Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And then he lost the match, which rolled off Corporate Kane. And then Kane kind of stayed in the same stagnant spot. He was drafted to SmackDown after the WWE draft. And then as for Randy Orton, kind of already mentioned Randy Orton's career path. He was pretty much he had his feud with Roman Reigns. He pretty much was kicked out of the Authority when they favored Seth Rollins. Then he had the feud with Seth Rollins. He beat him at WrestleMania. He lost to him at Extreme Rules. Then Randy Orton pretty much went on to kind of do nothing for a while. He got injured in October of 2015. Randy Orton then didn't return until July of 2016. And he had that match with Brock Lesnar where Brock Lesnar destroyed him at SummerSlam. And then he pretty much went on to have that lame feud with Bray Wyatt. And won the WWE Championship. Then he lost it to Jinder Mahal of all people. So Randy Orton pretty much has kind of stayed in the same spot. As for Roman Reigns went on to become a huge star from this match. He had a big victory over Randy Orton. He got injured, like I said, against Seth Rollins. And then he returned to TLC. He ended up winning the Royal Rumble match, and at the Royal Rumble, he went on to face Brock Lesnar. That whole Seth Rollins situation happened. Roman Reigns went on to feud with Bray Wyatt. I already talked about that. The stuff happened with him and Seth Rollins where Seth Rollins got hurt. And then Roman Reigns finally won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at Survivor Series in the tournament that I talked about. But then he got it taken away when Sheamus cashed in his Money in the Bank contract, and then he lost his rematch at TLC in 2015. Then afterwards, he beat the crap out of Triple H. He won his second ever WWE World Heavyweight Championship the next night against Sheamus. and he held the title until the Royal Rumble, where he lost in the Royal Rumble match. That ended up being won by Triple H. Then he won a triple threat match at Fastlane in 2016 to you know get an opportunity to face Triple H at WrestleMania. He beat Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar. Then he defeated Triple H to become a three-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion. He had some great matches with AJ Styles. Um, then he had the match with Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank that I've already talked about. Then they had the Shield triple threat. Then Roman Reigns went on to go into a feud with Rusev for the United States title. He ended up beating him at Clash of Champions 2016 to win the United States Championship. So if you think about it, each member of the former Shield have all been United States champion, which is pretty damn impressive. Um, he had the blow off match at Hell in a Cell in a Hell in a Cell match against Rusev. Then I already talked about what they did with them at Survivor Series, and then Roman Reigns went on to lose the United States Championship to Chris Jericho in January of 2017. He contended for the WWE Universal Championship a couple of times, and then pretty much he went on to retire the Undertaker at WrestleMania, which is still pretty sad. I haven't watched the Roman Reigns segment since, and I'm going to be watching it this Sunday though at Great Balls of Fire when he faces Braun Strowman in the ambulance match, and it's going to be stupid. But that's pretty much where this is. So the guy that needed to benefited that being Roman Reigns since he was the young guy. Everybody, no one else really needed to benefit from this. So that was it. But overall, I still thought this was a good WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. And now I'm going to talk about the post show. Okay, so then we had the Battleground post show. And this was pretty much just recapping everything that happened at Battleground. The Usos get interviewed and talk about how they had the fight of their lives against Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, and how they're ready to take on any tag team at any time. But they said that tonight they turn up, they're going to go celebrate their win. And they have, them and Renee Young, who was doing the interview, do Uso. And then John Cena gets interviewed about his win. He congratulates the Usos, talking about he hasn't seen an excited tag team like that in a while. And then he says that tonight Roman Reigns proved a lot because he didn't know. He says that going to this match, he already knew about Kane. He already knew about Randy Orton. He wanted to know what Roman Reigns had to bring to the table, and he said that he definitely brought it. And he said that he wasn't meant to retain his titles tonight, but he did. And that was it. Overall, the post show really wasn't anything special, and nothing really must see. Okay, so now I'm going to give you guys my star ratings for the matches, and then my actual thoughts on the show. So my star ratings for the Adam Rose Fandango match, I'm probably going to give that match 1 star. Really didn't do anything to accomplish anything. For the Cameron Naomi match, I'm going to give that match half a star. It was a terrible match with the one person going over. For the WWE Tag Team Championship match, I thought that match was a 3 and 3/4 star. That was just a really good tag team match, and I really enjoyed that. Right team went over. For the Divas Championship match, I thought that was um, a 2.5 star match. Good solid match right there. Obviously, they were holding back because of they wanted to do the match at SummerSlam. So for the Rusev Jack Swagger match, I'll probably give that match 2 stars. It was I'll probably give that match 2.25 star. It was a pretty good. It was a pretty solid match. With the right type of finish, with the way they did that feud. So obviously for the Seth Rollins Dean Ambrose, I can't really rate that match because really wasn't a match. But for the segment and stuff alone, I thought that was great. So yeah. For the Chris Jericho Bray Wyatt match, I'll probably give that match 3 stars. I thought that was a good solid match with the right person going over. For the Intercontinental Championship match, I would probably rate that match um, probably a 3.25 star. I thought that was a fun battle royal, and right person went over, and I thought they had a lot of good spots in the battle royal. And then for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. I'll probably rate that match. I'd probably also rate that match 3 stars. Maybe the Battle Royal will rate 3.5 stars, and then um, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match 3.25 star, because I thought that was a pretty good, solid WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Actually, no, I probably rate that. I'll probably will rate the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match 3.5 stars. Let me repeat my star rating because I kind of changed it. So for the Adam Rose Fandango match, 1 star. For the Cameron Naomi match, 0.5 star. For the WWE Tag Team Championship match, 3.75 stars. For the Divas Championship match, 2.5 stars. For Rusev versus Jack Swagger, 1 star. For Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, not getting a star rating because it wasn't a match. Chris Jericho versus Bray Wyatt, 3 stars. For the Intercontinental Championship match, I'll probably rate that match 3.25 star, and then for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, I'll probably give that match 3.5 stars. So those are my star ratings. I'm going to leave those down in the description box below. And as for my overall thoughts on the show, I thought this was actually a pretty adequate show. I thought, if I had to say, I thought it was a pretty good show. I thought it had some good matches on this show. I thought they did a good job really building up to like SummerSlam and stuff. And I thought the matches delivered. The right people went over in the right way. Um, and I definitely think that they really structured it really well. What I didn't like about it is it did kind of feel like I was watching an episode of Raw where they had like the Randy Orton Kane backstage segment, and then you had stuff that you would have seen on Raw. The pre-show I thought was terrible. The post-show wasn't anything special. Um, you know, but I did but that's really it. Everything else I thought was pretty adequate on the show. I even liked. I loved what they did with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, just having them get so out of control and actually making Dean Ambrose look like a lunatic. I thought that was great. It just made the show pretty enjoyable. I definitely could have done too without the whole Gold and Stardust interview backstage segment they had. That could have been, that was definitely unneeded. Um, so if I had to rate this show, it's nothing perfect, but it is a good show. So I will rate it probably a 7 out of 10. It has some good wrestling on the show. The right people go over in the right way. So overall, I would say rate the show a 7 out of 10. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video, and please make sure to subscribe to my CM Brothers and No One the Talking Native YouTube channels, and please make sure to subscribe to this channel as well for more content. That's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.